welcome to another episode of Emerald Echo, a Green Lantern podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, the Emerald enthusiast himself, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, ring slingers? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy, the podcasting machine, the big nerd in green. It's the Emerald enthusiast. Here to tell you that it is a wonderful day, a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
And if you don't
And they're not
get
going to
that,
get that reference, but you do.
I'll explain it. Basically, every time we do, because we record multiple shows in the course of a day, in a recording sit down. Right. And so we had just done a Superman show. I don't know which show you'll see first. Probably, I don't know, who knows, whichever. Anyway, you'll probably see both next week, so don't at me. Either way, you're getting both.
But you got that word right from the kids. Don't at me.
So every time we do a show, we did a Superman show beforehand, and Donnie was not wearing his Green Lantern hat, and so then we stopped that recording, started this one, and before we started, he put on his Green Lantern hat, and I said to him that him putting on the Green Lantern hat is his version of Mr. Rogers putting on and taking off his sweater. So,
and that is quite the compliment. Everybody loves Mr. Rogers.
And if you don't know who Mr. Rogers is, how old are you really?
Please won't you be my neighbor?
Is that in reruns?
Somewhere, probably, yeah.
I would have liked to have him as a neighbor. He would have been a good neighbor.
It would have been awesome, yeah. Yep.
Then again, State Farm might take offense to that. Anyway, all right. We're back with the Green Lantern episode. Usually it's one of two things when we come on here. It's either a look back at Kyle Rayner or a spotlight on one of the other lanterns, or we're talking about the current Green Lantern series by Geoffrey Thorne, Tom Raney, and Marco
Santucci, yes.
And that's exactly what we're doing today.
Yes, Team Lantern, as Geoffrey Thorne calls it. Yes. So, but before we get
Lantern World Order,
before we get to that, you said that there was something that you wanted to talk about, though.
Indeed, yeah. So I know at Fandom, Donnie, a lot of Green Lantern fans were disappointed because there was no announcement of the live-action movie. There was no announcement or further announcements about the HBO Max live-action series. Briefly, though, we did get an announcement of an animated movie, right?
Yes.
Is it a CGI animated movie, I believe?
There was no details given other than it's going to be called Beware My Power.
Ooh, so yeah, who knows? I'm curious.
Right.
Which lanterns do they use? What storyline are they borrowing from? Is it an adaptation of a specific story? We don't know, but I'm intrigued to find out.
Right.
And guess what? We'll be covering that movie on this podcast when it comes out.
Right here on the Multiverse Musings vidcast, available here on YouTube.
Indeed. So, as I said, there was no mention of the HBO Max series, and a lot of fans got upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
I partly understand that. But I've always said, look, this is a big show. It's got a massive scope. It's going to take some time before things get rolling to the point of in production, cameras rolling, and then it's going to take some more time before they have visual effects edited and, composited and put into a nice fancy trailer for us to look at and take a 2-minute clip and analyze it for 45 minutes, which we'll also do on this very show when such a show exists. So it's going to take some time. And I've always said that. And I even told you, Donnie, before Fandom, I think it was off the air, I'm not holding my breath for anything Green Lantern HBO Max related. It'd be nice, but I'm not holding my breath because, as I've always said, the modus operandi of Fandom is to discuss or talk about projects that are either eminently being released, about to start filming, or in production.
Mm-hmm.
Green Lantern, HBO Max, is not in any of those positions.
Right. Yeah.
So
Not that far along.
short of having a 2 minute video package of Seth Grahame-Smith coming out and saying, "This is what Green Lantern means to me. We can't wait for you to see our show, but we have nothing yet. So we'll see you next year." That's all you would have gotten. And some fans would have been okay with that, and that would have been enough. But I know the way fandom works, you do too. Fans would have got on Twitter and said, "That's it? Really?" And threw a hissy fit. So what did we really miss out on? But a couple of days after Fandom, Collider was doing an interview with Seth Grahame-Smith, the showrunner of the HBO Max Green Lantern series. And he basically said, we're still working, we're working on it. It's taking some time because it's so big and so vast and so epic in scope. But we're working on it. Things are going smoothly. It's going to be a little while before people see this, but everything is happening. We're doing our work.
Yeah.
So there it is, folks.
Yeah. Green Lantern fans, we're all gun shy. We've been burned so many times that it's hard for us. But if it's any consolation, I really do think that this is going to happen eventually. I know it's going slow, but I really feel like there is the commitment this time.
Right. And like we've got 3 actors cast. We've got a director for the first 2 episodes. We've got, concept artists, costume designers. A lot of team members are in place. And what I've said on other shows is that we know more about the Green Lantern HBO Max show than we do about Blade on the Marvel side of the equation.
That's yeah. I listened to that podcast, by the way. That was a good point.
Yeah, and nobody's complaining. Well, why isn't Marvel telling us anything about Blade? Because they have nothing to tell you.
Right. Yeah.
They'll tell you, believe me, the studio won't hide anything. Okay, they'll hide spoilers. But when they have stuff to show and say, "Look at this, please give us your eyeballs and your money by subscribing to HBO Max," believe me, they'll show you that.
Right. Please give us your eyeballs.
So it's coming. Believe me, folks. Just, I know we all want it. I'd watch it tomorrow if it was available. But I want the Green Lantern IP property deserves the highest of quality. In
I
my
agree.
opinion.
Yes.
If that takes some time to get, then it takes some time to get.
Yeah. We ought to make up T-shirts though with that on it. Multiverse Musings. Please give us your eyeballs.
Yeah, or your eardrums. We'll take either.
There you go.
Not physically, because that's disgusting.
Metaphorically, yes.
Yeah,
That's funny though.
So that's the news, folks. It's coming. It's happening. It's being worked on. Calm. Keep calm, folks.
And I do want to point out
all will be well.
All will be well, as St. Walker would say. Want to point out one more thing. DC versus vampires. For everybody who is up in arms that DC is not using Hal Jordan, in addition to Justice League Last Ride, Hal plays a predominant role in DC versus Vampires #1. Now, it may not be the Hal Jordan you want. I don't want to give away the big twist, but he's in that issue.
We're going to cover that, right?
Yes, I'm down.
All right.
I loved the first issue.
Look, we were going to do we already did a Halloween show, and I don't think we both well, maybe we would have been able to read it in time for this podcast, but it didn't look like we were going to. So, but we will schedule it.
Right. So
I'm looking forward to reading my copy. It's in my Comixology, my files. So
yeah, I really like what
I like
happened.
vampires.
Yeah,
and I like DC. So actually, a friend of mine said because we have a little thing where we we set aside certain days to read certain books, and then we talk about it. It basically keeps us on target with our reading so we don't fall behind. So I was describing this book to my friend so he would know to get it on Comixology himself. And I'm like, it's called DC versus Vampires, but if I was in charge of titling it, I title it DC versus Vampires, the Justice League takes Buffy's job. And that's what I would do.
Interesting. Oh, so we're back on track here with Green Lantern number 7.
Yeah.
And by the way, before we actually get into the story itself, I know a lot of people were confused by the main cover saying Kilowog's Last Stand, and it's Kilowog's on the cover. Kilowog is not in the issue. Okay. Some kind of miscommunication happened in production.
Uh-huh.
It was a snafu. It was not DC intentionally misdirecting you, as I've seen some fans say. They think that DC was like, oh, well, they put out Kilowog and they solicited Kilowog and he wasn't in there, and they're trying to run misdirection. No, it was a mistake. And it wasn't Geoffrey Thorne's mistake, so get off the guy's back, okay?
Are we going to now see YouTube channels, Donnie, making video blogs about how DC and Geoffrey Thorne lied and misdirected, like they've attacked Kevin Smith for? Is that what we're going to see?
Yeah. You don't know. Nothing surprises me at this point. But like I said, it was a simple mistake.
Yeah.
That wasn't what the cover was supposed to be. That was supposed to be a cover for a future
mistakes
issue.
Happen, folks.
Mistakes happen. So,
everybody's human.
It's a nice little piece of collecting history. When you look back on it in a couple of years, you'll be like, oh yeah, that miscommunication happened. So
it's a cool cover with Kilowog, and
exactly. Yeah. And a cool story inside. It's not that you didn't get, your money's worth. So
yeah.
So the story opens with the continuation of the conversation between John and Lonar. And Lonar asserts that he's the god of journeys, and he immediately proves this by taking John way, way, way back in time, where we see a conflict between the Owens, the relocated Malthusians, and the new gods, I guess, before they were new gods. I guess they were the really, really new gods at this point because they're referred to as the Apocalypti.
They were the baby gods.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So it's Apocalypse versus
newborn gods.
Ola. Right, exactly. And they all look very different. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing these characters rendered this way. Like Granny
I'll tell you what,
Goodness.
they all look really great. And
yeah,
I think
Granny Goodness looks young. She's like Mommy. Yeah,
Mommy
she's
Goodness. Not Granny yet. She's Mommy Goodness.
Yeah, Mommy Goodness or Auntie Goodness.
That sounds a little disturbing. I don't know if I want to continue down this track, Donnie.
As I was writing this, I'm like, and I don't know this for sure, but I probably wouldn't do a web search on that. I'm just saying. It's
yeah, absolutely. No, don't. No, I don't know what you're going to see.
Exactly. So
no, I will say this issue, or this portion of the issue, which is, I believe, Tom Raney did, right?
Yeah.
This is his best work on the series, in my opinion.
I really liked all the battle scenes, the weaponry.
Yeah.
Highfather, like I said, I've never seen Highfather drawn like this. He looked, spry and smooth as a young being. Steppenwolf. I like that.
Is he mid-level father at this point?
He said MJF would say he's mid. But back to the battle.
MJF is better than him, and we know it.
Right. And
let's say that the dark side, MJF. See how far that gets you.
Yeah, and probably if any of Team Lantern is watching this right now, they're going to be like, "What? Where are these guys going off on?"
Well, if Daryl Banks watches, he'll know what we're talking about.
Well, yeah. If Daryl's watching,
an alumni of Team Lantern will know what we're talking about.
And Robert Venditti would know too. He's also
exactly. Yeah. P.S. Robert Venditti, want to come on our show? Just throwing.
Oh, hey, yeah. We're going to try to figure that out.
But come on and talk about it. Let's go.
I love Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps.
DM me.
All right. So I also want to say before we move on, Steppenwolf having the old green and yellow look back. I loved it. Haven't seen that in forever.
So you mean he's not a spiky mother effer as Zack Snyder?
And that's exactly where my mind went. I was like, somebody from like the Snyder cult's going to read this and be like, wait a minute, he's only supposed to have spikes and yada yada. No, believe it or not, these characters existed before 2013. As much as I like
No,
the
it's
Snyder
impossible, Donnie. No. Zack Snyder invented everything.
This, like I said, this looked really good.
Darkness. So. He invented darkness. He invented CGI. He invented the comic book genre, apparently. No, but it's like I mean, it was a cool throwback. My personal favorite design for Steppenwolf, a little bit off topic, was the Earth 2, the New 52 design. I really like that.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So back to the story, Hegra, who is Darkseid's mom, she looks very young and pretty here. And somewhere out in the multiverse, there's a new god, Adam, who's married to this version of Hegra. She's on the list.
Well, I love how, wait a minute, the list has progressed to now Donnie is putting comic book people on the list.
From billions of years ago, back on the list.
Probably there's an ancestor of mine that would probably fancy her.
Right, yeah.
No, I think Granny, he'd draw the line at Granny Goodness because you got to draw the line somewhere, damn it. But yeah, no, I could see that. That's plausible.
I don't know. I think raising Uxus, Darkseid, that would be a challenge.
Uxus, isn't that? How do you pronounce that? Oh, who knows how to pronounce Uxus? Peter Vera. He likes.
Is it Uxus? I always said Uxus.
The whole thing where he screams it into the. He like your Martha thing every time somebody says Martha.
Why'd you say that name?
Right. Yeah. He does that with Uxus. So Peter Vera, if you're listening or watching this, now is the appropriate time to yell at your screen. Go ahead.
We can do that. Well, next time we talk to Jeff Thorne on here, we'll ask him. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, how he pronounced it. Yeah. Oh no, I just wanted to give Peter Vera a chance to yell at his screen because I know he likes to yell that. Yeah. For whatever reason, he likes to yell Uxus at the screen.
So John is, at this point, he and Lonar are observing all this, and John worries about the paradox. And I don't mean two physicians together. I mean an event that is seemingly self-contradictory. Sorry, I had to throw that in. Lonar says you're immune to the paradox effect here. And Lonar actually has a line here that's really trippy. He said, history is entangled with memory, which I thought was really interesting.
That's
and he
very
said,
true.
Yeah, he tells John, Sakari unlocked nearly all of your doors. And this is where you start to open.
Now, yeah, it's a great line, but you know how you said he's immune? John is immune to the paradox as long as he's with Lonar. The Flash could use Lonar to hang out around with him.
That's a good point. Sure.
Just want to point that out.
So during this fight, we see that some of the Owens are named by Ganthet. Ganthet, of course, should be, a
name. I love seeing young Ganthet,
Yeah.
in the midst of a fight.
Yeah.
I like when, I miss the days when the Guardians on Oa were not jerks.
Right. Well, we'll get some of their views here are a little questionable. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. But so we see that another one of the Guardians, again, at this point, they're just Owens, is Nemusini. That was the sister of the Guardian who was slain in earlier in the series. And Jeff Thorne also names one of them Broome, Broome. And of course, that's an allusion to John Broome, one of the co-creators of Hal Jordan. So, yeah. So Ganthet says that the Owens are shutting down the Apocalypte's endless wars. And they say, this is not up to debate. We're going to erase all of this chaos, all of this mystical energy, which is, of course, this is what led to the Starheart.
Yeah.
And now here's another one. Isaiah, is that how you say Highfather's name before he was Highfather? Isaiah? That's how I say it.
I would say it like that.
Okay, so Isaiah speaks.
I just call him Highfather.
Highfather.
I make it easier. Everybody was calling Darkseid when Justice League came out. Zack Snyder's version. Everybody was calling Darkseid Uxus, and I'm like, no. I'm going to call him Darkseid. I don't care what Zack Snyder wants me to call him. It's Darkseid.
Darkseid, there you go. So he speaks with Ganthet, and the Owens say that they're going to erase the Apocalypti, not reform them or give them a chance to bargain for better behavior. He's like, we're here to erase all of you.
So they're gonna pull a Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Wait, you mean Matt Hardy? Delete.
Matt Hardy, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, delete.
Delete.
Yeah. Well, and that comes off as a little questionable from the Guardians too. It's
That's
like
a little disturbing. Yeah.
They're so self-assured of their that their correctness in this that they're going to absolutely erase all of these beings. Now, granted, they're the Apocalypti are the bad guys here, but the way the Guardian.
To be fair to the Guardians, though, 2021 has taught me there's a group of people that I'd like to erase too.
Well, that's a different podcast. So,
but you know the kind of people I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that refuse to wear a mask or get a vaccine.
Yeah. So, and I really like John's line here. Geoffrey Thorne gave him a perfectly timed line. He's looking at all of this conflict, and he looks at Lonar and goes, "This is not going well."
That was funny. It reminded me kind of like the Lone Ranger. Remember the Lone Ranger?
Mm-hmm.
The sidekick. He would say things, those spur of the moment,
right.
Jabs. It reminded me of that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You want to talk? Yeah. He got a raw deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because the Lone Ranger was always like, "Hey, that village is on fire. Why don't you go check that out?"
Yeah, he would always do the hard things, and then Lone Ranger would write it. La la la.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna save the day.
If I'd have been him, I'd be like, "Yeah, you go check it out, white boy.
You do it. What am I? It's like Robin in the '60s show. He had to ride in the sidecar.
Yeah.
The side of the Batmobile, not like the passenger seat, not the.
Yeah. So with the distraction that is going on here, Herga asks her son Euxis. She says, "Be a deer and murder them all for me." That's a great line too.
As a mother would tell her son, I'm sure.
So an Owen named Ondo is murdered by Darkseid wielding the Soul Cannon. And at this point, that's when John can't take it anymore, and he jumps into the fray like Stone Cold Steve Austin, running in to a big, a big scrum or whatever. You can almost hear him say, "I'm gonna stomp a mud hole and walk it dry." So I love this moment. So Euxis blasts him, but John is wreathed in this green energy, and you see all this like Kirby crackle, type of imagery
they really
around.
had the Kirby stuff.
Yeah.
On display in the art.
And so back in the present, we see that John is now donned in a uniform that reminds me kind of a little bit of the old Ion uniforms that Kyle had.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And so Lonar says this is John's evolution. So we see that whatever started back there, in the battle is now manifesting back in the present. And this seems to be more of like what Jeff was talking about with the Mosaic story, that, those powers are still there. They've been dormant, but Sakari did something to unlock that within John, and now here it comes.
Right. And now we'll probably see them come to the surface and see what that presents.
Yeah. So really, like I said, really interesting. I like the stuff, the Ion stuff back in, Volume 3. And so I think there's a lot of potential here for what Jeff's going to do with this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now on to the second story, and it opens with a really beautiful drawing of Joe Mullane heading back with Simon and Kelly Quintella. By the way, Marco Santucci said he loved drawing this panel.
Yeah, didn't he say that was when he was interviewing with us?
Yeah,
he said there was an image that was his favorite.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And that was the one. Yeah. And I could see why, because it was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, he did such an amazing job. That would make a good poster.
Absolutely.
Right. It would also make a great back to an action figure of Joe Mullane, Todd McFarlane. Get on it. So anyway.
I see what you're angling for there.
um. So yeah. Anyway, also by the way, I would love a figure of John in that outfit from this
Oh
issue.
yeah, cool. Yeah, yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me
Now,
figures, man.
Donnie, should they make a Thomas and Martha Wayne figure?
Why did you say that name? No, I couldn't, because every time I'd come in this room, I'd be like, "Why did I print that name?" I couldn't do it. So Simon is still in the construct flying with Joe, and he's trying to process what happened with Jessica. Remember Jessica, part of the Sinestro Corps now.
Yeah, she turned to the
So
NWO, so to speak.
right, yeah.
She's
So
the third woman.
so Amara Collin isn't pleased, and she kind of talks to Joe in this snarky manner, and she's like, "So, are we at war with New Corrigar now?" And so she's also dismissive of Kelly's state. Kelly's unconscious,
Yeah.
and Simon gets protective, and she starts calling him Broken Lantern again, and they almost come to blows. So,
And I don't blame him. Can you imagine somebody calling you broken every 5 minutes?
yeah, she's and also being kind of kind of discarding a child who is unconscious. Diplomacy is not her strong point. So,
Oh, definitely not. She doesn't have good decorum or bedside
right.
manner, so to speak.
Right. So as they're arguing, Joe takes a page out of Superman's book and creates these two giant hands and says, "Enough." I love that.
Yeah.
That was a
That was a
beautiful
great
panel.
construct. I love that. That was
Yeah, I loved it. So then we get this like huge splash page and great storytelling here. 3 really quick beats. PFL tells Joe that she has some data on the deconstruction of the battery, something important, something disturbing. One of the holo displays also shows that Iolande and Badge and Larvox have survived, and they are coming to join Joe. And the medical team that is attending to Kelly, and alarm bells should be going off here. They're trying to take the gauntlet off, which, if you remember all the way back from the beginning of the series, that's something that shouldn't be done. That's a problem. And immediately as this is happening, there's some kind of automatic self-defense system within the gauntlet that starts to defend Kelly even though she's unconscious.
right.
And so the gauntlet creates all of these constructs, including like a group of robins and Red Tornado, Princess
And that
Amethyst.
makes sense. And that
Yeah,
makes sense to Robbins because she spent some time in Young Justice.
right. And well, it's all people that she's met here.
Yeah.
Again, so Princess Amethyst, Wonder Girl, Superboy, Impulse, Jenny Hex, and Joe makes a number of her own constructs to try to hold them off, but eventually she's overwhelmed. Then we see the Thanagarians come into the fray, and I like the callback here as they're like, let's fall in, let's fall in. They're into the battle. Simon looks up and he looks at Joe and he's like, Thanagarians. And if you remember, Hal and John had that same reaction
Yeah.
to Amara Collin at the first issue. They're like, oh, Thanagarians. So
Yeah. It's
yeah, it seems to be a common attitude among the Green Lanterns. So I like
poor
that.
Hawkman.
Yeah. So the constructs are too much, but Joe realizes that they seem to be ignoring Simon.
Right.
And Simon walks up to this big construct version of himself, and I really like how it ended here
That was
because
very cool to see him like talking to a construct version of himself,
yeah,
which I'm
but
sure must have been Phil Bova's favorite page.
that's a good point. So, but he's able to soothe Kelly's subconscious, and I like him in this like big brother or
Yeah.
caring uncle
Yeah.
role because he's like, look, I know you've been traumatized. I know you saw it all, the destruction of the battery. You've seen all this death. You saved me, and I'll have your back forever.
Yeah. They've kind of went through similar but different experiences,
Hmm?
and so that's why they connect, right?
Right.
And I like that. Yeah, it was very good to see him in that role.
And I think Simon's needed this. Jeff even made mention one time. That Simon's kind of been on the shelf. This is a good piece of character development to give Simon some spotlight, and the fact
Oh,
that
he's
he can.
absolutely grown as a character, no question about it.
Yeah, and without the ring, by the way, we're showing why he has a noble heart and why he's part of the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, I never had a problem with the character, but I like the way he's progressed,
Hmm.
especially with Jeff Thorne,
Yeah.
you know, honing in and fleshing out his character.
Yeah. And I'm going to agree with you. I think this might have been art-wise, this might have been the best issue so far in this run.
Oh yeah, and
Loved it.
that's not to say that the other issues weren't good. It's just
No, but
I
this
think
was
both artists just have been, ramped it up with this one because wow, phenomenal work, both stories.
yeah. So again, main cover, even though it's
Yeah,
not in the story, and this the cover by Marco Santucci, the variant cover. I love this, by the way.
it is a beautiful
Yeah.
cover.
DC Comics, support the comic book
That
industry.
is a well-groomed mustache on Sinestro shoulder.
Yeah. Yep, he's got it down. Yeah.
That's impressive. He's got a playoff stash ready to go, but for sure.
All right, so I guess we should rate this issue.
Indeed. Go ahead, sir.
I'm going to give both sides a 5. I love what's happening with John now that we're getting ready to see. It seems like the story's turning a corner now. We're ready to see how things are going to, maybe be, the status quo, or how maybe not the status quo, but how the tide turned for the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, John seems to be going through an evolution, which is fun
Yeah.
to see. And I'm fascinated by, the all the attention that the likes of Simon, Kelly, and Joe Mullane are getting. I think it's great. We're getting 2 stories for the price of 1, and the best part about it is, in my opinion, they're both fantastic. So I'm going to give the writing a 5 and the art a 5. So perfect score for me.
I can't wait for the next couple issues. I really want to see like what's happening with John here.
Oh yeah, every issue to me is a must. Like it's an exciting must read.
Right.
The only problem I have is when I read. Usually I like when I do my weekly pile. I have a thing where I save the best ones for that I think are going to be the best ones for last.
From the first comic to the last.
Yeah,
right?
basically that's what I do, right? And it's so hard because Green Lantern is really good, and like there's so much. DC's putting out so many good books that it's so hard to choose which one do I think is going to be the most enjoyable this week. And so, but Green Lantern is always in that spot, like it's in the running for that. Okay, which am I really saving for the?
Yeah. So
for the last day, but yeah, great stuff, and I can't wait for the next issue. But
right. And I can't wait. If there's one thing that is killing me, I got to know where Kyle is.
He's on basically he's on vacation.
Okay, yeah.
He's somewhere in now. He's floated away somewhere. He's on a beach, probably who knows how many women, knowing him, and he's got an iced cappuccino made by Radu. He's enjoying it. I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, but if you hear a story about Geoffrey Thorne having to run off a rabid fan with the hose from his house, that wasn't me.
Somehow, I don't believe you, sir. But if you want to talk to Donnie before he gets charged with stalking on social media, you can. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Green Lantern.
And if you want to talk to me on social media about Green Lantern or any other topic that I podcast about, you can at Adam_LeaseFan. We also have the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network Twitter page at MMNPDC. We have a Facebook group. Click the link that should be below. I will add you. We can continue the conversation there.
I also have a separate YouTube channel here, Emerald Enthusiast, as well as a TikTok channel, The Emerald Enthusiast, where I put, surprise, surprise, Green Lantern stuff on there.
Shocking, but yeah, no, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So hit us up on social media. Talk to us about this cool Green Lantern run and any other superheroic musings that you want to chat about. But until next time, remember that the Green Lanterns, or in this case, Green Lantern the book, is forever. From the first conversation that Simon has with the construct of himself to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.